Now, we've hit episode 34, and I wanted to pose a question to you, the viewers. What is your biggest achievement in Football Manager history? It could be in Football Manager 07, Football Manager 2010, Football Manager 2015, any Football Manager. I mean, there's many, but probably when I took Gillingham into the playoffs in December and then got them relegated by the end of the season. Oh, and also when I took over the Northampton job after they got relegated from League One, and then I took them down again the season after. I have a strong feeling that no one's going to top any of those achievements. In the last episode, we got ourselves knocked out of the FA Cup in the third round by Sunderland and then drew Blackburn 1-1 in the 89th minute. Embarrassing episodes. Probably one of the worst of the series so far. Probably. And I mean, that is an achievement in itself as well. So after the last game against Blackburn when we drew 1-1, we took on Manchester City, who we were chasing for a top 6 spot, which I mean is really unlikely. But Bernardo Silva settled the contest with this 49th minute strike from range as he gave Man City all 3 points. We followed up with a 0-0 draw away at Tottenham, and then after taking an early lead against Leicester at home through Trezeguet, we then conceded in the second half to a Jamie Vardy header. It does mean that we are still around 12th position or 11th, one of those positions. But we do take on West Ham United away from home in this episode. And if we do beat them, we do go above them in the league. So I can't wait to not beat them because I've really set myself up to fail here, haven't I? We got some bad news after the Blackburn draw as Wilfried Zaha damaged his kneecap and put himself out for 5 weeks. Really, the injuries are getting on my nerves. Like, all my key players are getting injured at the wrong time of the season. Paul Clement's comments in the press also said that anything's possible this season. I'm really not sure what he was talking about. I mean, like, we did get knocked out of the FA Cup by a League One team. We got knocked out of the Carabao Cup on penalties. We're currently 12th in the league or something like that. I don't really know what can be possible. Part of me thinks I really should be doing the press conferences to stop him from talking absolute shite again. The under-23s are doing very well as well in the league as they've won all 11 games they played so far this year. The more and more I see them having success, the more and more I think I should take them over and they just ruin it all. One of my reserve team left backs, Jaden Brown, also told me he wanted to play first team football, but I said to him I can't give you that because there's no way I'm going to play you when you're very inexperienced. And then he said he wanted to leave, so I went to the press and said that he's free to leave, and now he's enraged at the comments I made to the press. I mean, make up your mind, Jaden. Do you want to go or do you want to stay? Seeing as it's the January transfer window, I did go out looking for a right back, and Paul Larola from PSG was available on loan, but he rejected the loan offer and decided not to come to me. And then Pierre-Luc Etienne on social media said, who is that? I mean, is he talking about us? Is he talking about me? Or is he talking about the player? Because if he's talking about us, then like, we would beat PSG 9 times out of 10. I can guarantee it. I also had a look at the transfers that have been made so far in the transfer window, and Justin Kluivert has gone from Manchester United to Barcelona for 140 million, which, by the way, is double the amount that my players are worth altogether. And that's on a good day. I also came out to the press and said that Harold Kanu is free to leave, but no one wants to buy him, so he's going to have to stay at the club here for another 2 years. But I can announce our first signing of the January transfer window, and I did say I was looking for a backup right back, and I have found one. And joining us on loan from Borussia Dortmund for the rest of the season is Yusuf Attal. He can play right mid as well, right back. He can do everything he can, pretty much. So, a good player that we're going to have for 6 months at the club. A decent backup option. I mean, how many more times do I say he's a backup option? I'm sure you got the gist of it. Sergio Reguilon also got a virus for 3 weeks after playing Man City. Another defender injured. I mean, surely not any more defenders can get injured. And then I was wrong, as Connor Cody then got a hamstring strain and he was put out for 6 weeks. And then Matthias Jorgensen then got injured for 7 weeks, which means that I now have one fit centre-back in Christopher Ayer because Matt Clark has to play left-back because Sergio Reguilon has got chlamydia or something. So David Raya has left the club to join Valencia for 1.7 million. Joined 6 months ago, played 3 times, he's off again. So, see you later, David. And this player didn't really deserve the transfer thing because he just comes in for 2 years and he's a backup. But Sten Grightburst joins us from Inter Milan for 2.4 million. He's going to become our number 2 goalkeeper. He's conceded 4 goals in 4 games for Inter Milan. But he's got an average rating of 7.5, hence why I signed him. So it's a bargain, really. Marcos Llorente also dropped his concerns about the lack of football he's been playing recently. And then I sold him to Crystal Palace for 8.5 million. And what was bad was that I put the asking price as 20 million and then I've sold him for £4 million loss. Not my greatest work. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has also pulled his knee ligaments and he's out for 3 weeks. I mean, at this rate, we're going to need a miracle to have a team ready for West Ham. And things got so desperate that in the 1-1 draw against Leicester, I had to give a debut to our reserve team player, Mustafa Olagunju, who, by the way, looks utter shit. So the fact we got a 1-1 draw is amazing, isn't it itself? On deadline day, we did go in for Jan Vertonghen on loan, but he decided to join Bournemouth on loan instead. I mean, his loss. Now, with the defensive injury crisis that we're currently having at the club, and the fact that Jan Vertonghen also rejected me, means that I had to go out and find a new defender to bring in on loan. And joining us from Blackburn Rovers on loan for the rest of the season is James Tompkins, a centre-back who is literally only going to be a backup. Once all the other players are fit, then he will be out of the team. But for the meantime, he's going to have to play because I literally have no other centre-backs ready. I've got West Ham in 3 days and he used to play for them. This is going to go so wrong, isn't it? We also put in a bid for Aaron Ramsey on deadline day, but he wanted 200 grand a week. And with the financial fair play problems that we're having at the moment with wages, I couldn't take that risk. And also the under-23s finally lost their first game of the season because I took it over and we lost 2-0 against Fylde. So the Proudy effect again. Chris Brunt was also offered the job as manager at Stevenage, but after I had a word with him, he said he was never going anywhere. I mean, he is basically the love of my life now. And before we move into our game against West Ham United, I did make one more sign-in on deadline day, and I looked at my central midfield options and realised we were a bit light after Marcus Llorente left. So joining us on loan from PSG is Christopher Nkunku. He joins us on loan for the rest of the season, but he also will be joining us permanently at the end of the season for £750,000. A good player to have in midfield, a nice young player to have. He's going to fit in quite nicely on the bench in about 3 months' time when he isn't playing very well. Now, let's move into our game against West Ham United away from home. And, well, there's a few changes to the side because, obviously, of injuries and new transfers that we brought in. We have stuck with a 4-4-2 formation in this game, so we've dropped the diamond. Christopher Ayer will play alongside new signing James Tompkins at centre-back. John McGinn also partners new signing Christopher Nkunku in the middle. And Ollie Berg returns from injury to take his place on the right wing with Neil Maupay and Steve Mounier leading the line for us. Now, if I was to tell you that I'm shitting myself for the fact that I've got an injury crisis on my hands and I've got to go through this game hoping to get a win away at West Ham, then you're goddamn right. I mean, getting a point away at the London Stadium wouldn't be a bad result, really, if you think about it. 6 minutes were on the clock as Trezeguet got a free kick from about 30 yards out, but hit probably the worst effort I've seen this season from a free kick. And then Barco played through Kasper Dolberg, but his shot was well saved by Matai Perrin. And then with 20 minutes on the clock, Ollie Berg's cross was then headed out towards Sergio Reguilon, who played at Steve Mounier and on his left peg fired it into the back of the net. But the referee had to check VAR to make sure that it was onside. And thankfully, this time we got the decision in our favour. Although saying that, the decision would clearly be in our favour. There was no way that was going to be disallowed this week. And then some good work by Steve Mounier, found himself through and goal, but he decided to try and chip the keeper and it went straight at him. What was the point? And then a few minutes later, Ollie Berg headed out across, but only as far as Anglieri, who played it across the box for Kasper Dolberg to equalise for West Ham. Undeserved, in my opinion. Very undeserved. And to make matters worse, on the stroke of half-time, West Ham got the ball towards Omar on the edge of the box and he fired it in to make it 2-1 to West Ham. They've had 2 highlights, they've scored 2 goals. Just my luck. At half-time, I said to the boys that they'd been very unlucky. We had been playing much better football than West Ham, and yet we find ourselves 2-1 down again. I mean, I would call it unlucky. I mean, some of you would probably call it shit management. It was then I decided to revert back to the 4-3-3 formation that we had had so much success with this season, and I pushed Trezeguet into an attacking left midfield position. And in 4 minutes into the second half, Trezeguet's corner found Steve Mounier at the back post, and after the goalkeeper missed the ball, Steve Mounier headed it in to make it 2-2. You love to see it. Now, normally at this stage of the game, I would be telling you about substitutions I've made, but I didn't make any. And with 10 minutes left on the clock, Steve Mounier was felled in the box after Sergio Reguilon's free kick made it into the area, and we got a penalty. And of course, Steve Mounier stepped up and fired it into the top corner to complete his hat-trick. And by the way, that was also a perfect hat-trick. The first ever time we're going to have that in this series. Probably the only ever time, but I'm so glad it was Steve Mounier. The bloke's on 15 goals this season. Can you imagine what my Huddersfield career would be like if I actually sold him all those episodes ago? And as the game approached injury time, Barco played it to Felipe Anderson, who hit the post, and the ball came straight back to Perrin for him to save it, and we somehow held on for the 3-2 win. What a comeback. What a man Steve Mounier is. I would love him to shag me. Like, I'm going to put it out there. If he can shag me someday, I would love to see it. I mean, none of you would love to see that. I don't think any of you are into that, but I would love to see it.
Go, 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 shorty. It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip Bacardi like it's your birthday.